In a world where every decision feels heavy and each step can change everything, the struggle to find peace is a battle many face daily. How do injustice, loneliness, and inequality shape who we are? These stories reflect our world, where every emotion and thought can have lasting consequences. Are you ready to confront the truth behind these silent battles? Imagine waking up each day feeling like the world is against you. Opportunities are out of reach, and no matter how hard you try, something always pulls you back. It's a battle against invisible forces that seem so real. The pain of being unheard, of being judged before you speak. These are the stories of those who suffer in silence, but whose voices are finally being heard. Meet Sarah, a young woman whose every choice is shaped by society's expectations. She's an artist, but her talent is never enough to overcome the barriers of class and privilege. For years, she's struggled to express herself, but each time she tries, she's met with rejection. Her art is her escape, yet even that seems to slip away as the world grows colder and more indifferent. Then there's Mike, a man raised in a world of crime and poverty. His choices were survival tactics in a society that only cared about the strongest. He dreamed of something better, but each attempt to escape ended in failure. The system didn't care about him, and he soon realized that to break free, he'd have to fight against everything he knew. But as he tried, he questioned if he was capable of changing his fate. These are just two faces in the crowd, but their stories are not isolated. Across the world, people are facing similar struggles, battling against a system that doesn't care, struggling to find their place in a world that constantly tells them they're not enough. The pain of injustice doesn't just lie in the obvious moments of inequality, but in the small, everyday choices that reinforce a feeling of worthlessness. A person's self-worth is chipped away slowly, piece by piece, until they can barely recognize themselves. And then there's the loneliness that often accompanies these struggles. The sense of isolation when it feels like no one truly understands your pain. Sarah feels it every day, even in a crowd. She longs for connection, but each attempt to reach out seems to push people away. It's as if the world itself is conspiring to keep her in the shadows. Mike too feels this isolation, but it manifests in a different way. Surrounded by people who are just as lost as he is, he feels like there's no way out. These emotional battles are fought in the quiet moments, those times when we're alone with our thoughts, questioning whether our choices are truly our own. Every day we make decisions based on fear, guilt, or hope. But are those choices really leading us towards something better? Or are we just chasing a fleeting dream? The weight of these questions can be suffocating, and sometimes the only way to cope is to push those emotions deep down, hiding them behind a mask of indifference. Yet, in the depths of struggle, there's also a sense of defiance. Sarah, despite everything, refuses to give up on her art. She's learned to find strength in the very thing the world tried to silence. Mike, too, keeps fighting, believing that somewhere in the chaos, there is a chance for redemption. Their stories are not just about survival. They are about the will to keep going, even when it feels like the world has given up on them. But what happens when that hope fades? When the weight of the world becomes too much to bear? As we dive deeper into these stories, we begin to see the intricate web that connects us all. These characters are not just victims of circumstance, they are a reflection of the society we live in. Their struggles are the struggles of many, echoing the deep-rooted issues of injustice, inequality, and loneliness that affect us all. But can we break free from these cycles? Can we rise above the pressures that seek to define us? The truth is, breaking free from these cycles is never easy. Sarah knows that better than anyone. The world is constantly telling her she's not enough, that her dreams are too big, too impossible. Every time she puts her art out there, she's met with silence, with rejection. It's a brutal reality she faces every day. Yet, there's something inside her that refuses to quit. The brushstrokes, the colors, the raw emotion in her work, they are the only things that keep her grounded. But even those moments of expression are tainted by the fear of never being seen. Then there's the quiet rage inside Mike. Growing up in a world where survival meant taking what you could get, it's hard to shake off that mentality. He's been told his whole life that he'll never escape the streets, that he'll always be a product of his environment. But inside him, there's a fight that refuses to die. He starts to make choices that go against everything he's known. Small steps, but they feel monumental. He begins to see that perhaps the world doesn't have to define him. But can he really change, or is he just setting himself up for another failure? What makes these stories so powerful is how they reflect our own fears and desires. How many of us have felt like we're not enough? How many of us have struggled with loneliness, with the overwhelming pressure to fit into a world that doesn't seem to care? The weight of expectations can crush us. And yet, somehow, we keep pushing forward, even when every step feels like a battle. We don't always realize it, but we're all living our own version of Sarah's and Mike's stories. These are the quiet struggles that shape who we are, that mold our futures in ways we can't always see. Take a moment and think about a time when you had to make a choice that could change your life. Maybe it was something small, something that didn't seem significant at the time, but looking back, you can see how it shifted the course of your journey. These moments are where the drama of our lives unfolds. In those decisions, there's a weight that can feel unbearable. Should I take the risk? Should I speak my truth? Every choice we make can be a turning point. A chance to move toward something better, or to get lost in the consequences. The hardest part of these stories isn't the external challenges, it's the internal ones. Sarah, despite all her talent, questions her worth every day. Mike, despite his growing realization that change is possible, battles with the fear that he's too far gone. These doubts gnaw at them, pulling them in opposite directions. They both want to escape the roles they've been forced into, but how do you break free when your own mind is your biggest enemy? How do you find the courage to step into the unknown when everything tells you to stay where it's safe? But there's a twist. Just when it seems like they're at their lowest, when all hope appears lost, something shifts. It's not a dramatic, life-changing event. It's a small, quiet moment of clarity. Sarah, for the first time, starts to see her art not as a means to be recognized, but as a form of self-expression, something that is hers and hers alone. Mike, in a fleeting moment of peace, understands that redemption doesn't require perfection. It requires a willingness to keep going, even when the road is unclear. This is where the real drama lies, in those small moments of clarity that can change everything. These moments don't come with fanfare or applause. They come quietly, in the middle of the night when you're alone with your thoughts. It's in these spaces that we find out who we really are. Sarah's art becomes her act of rebellion, her way of reclaiming her voice. Mike's journey becomes a testament to the power of persistence, to the belief that we can always change, no matter how deep the scars run. As the story unfolds, we begin to see that these characters are not defined by their circumstances. Sarah, with all her doubts and struggles, begins to realize that her art doesn't need to change the world. It just needs to change her. Mike, with all his baggage, discovers that breaking free isn't about escaping the past, but about choosing to walk forward with purpose. The drama of their lives isn't just about their external battles, it's about their internal ones. And when they begin to win those battles, everything else starts to fall into place. The deeper you dive into these stories, the more you realize that we're all connected by the same threads. We all face injustice, we all battle with loneliness, we all question our worth, and we all have the power to change, to make choices that can shape our future. The key isn't in waiting for some grand moment of change. It's in embracing those quiet, seemingly insignificant moments that have the potential to alter our course. It's in realizing that every choice, no matter how small, has the power to change everything. As we draw closer to the end of Sarah's and Mike's journeys, we're left with the understanding that these are not just stories. They are reflections of our own lives. The struggles they face are our struggles. The battles they fight are the same battles we fight every day. And while we may not always win every fight, the very act of continuing to fight is what makes us stronger. These stories remind us that, no matter how dark the road may seem, there's always a way forward if we're willing to keep walking. So what about you? Where are you in your own journey? What choices are you facing right now that could change everything? It's in these moments, these decisions, that we write our own stories. And while we can't always predict what comes next, we can choose to face it with courage, knowing that the power to change is always within us.